Well, no 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. That's Russian President Vladimir Putin's message to President Trump. The two spoke for nearly 2 hours on the phone yesterday.
Putin did agree to halt attacks on energy and civilian infrastructure. Still, a barrage of Russian drones and missiles hit a hospital and a power grid last night. George Thomas brings us the latest.
Air raid sirens blared in Kyiv and other regions of Ukraine just hours after Vladimir Putin refused President Trump's proposal for an immediate ceasefire on land, air, and sea. Residents in the capital taking shelter underground after Russia launched 147 Iranian-made drones and 6 missiles overnight. Targets in other parts of the country included a hospital and an energy grid, contrary to Putin's promises.
I feel that Putin's words have no credibility at all. What he says could change in a week, just like that.
In a nearly 2-hour-long phone call on Tuesday, Putin agreed not to target Ukraine's energy and infrastructure, but stopped short of agreeing to a full 30-day ceasefire. Steve Witkoff, the president's special envoy to the Middle East, was in the Oval Office during the call.
It's energy and infrastructure in general, and this is something, Sean, that they've been in discussions about for probably the better part of 2 years. And so I think there have been some breakthroughs. I would commend President Putin for all he did today on that call.
Kyiv residents say the Russian overnight attacks show Putin's real response to a peace proposal.
The Russian imperialists do not want to let us live peacefully because they do not recognize our right to exist, so we are forced to fight.
After the call, the Kremlin seemed to add to its list of demands, insisting that Ukraine reduce its troop strength and mobilization efforts, and that the West stop sending arms and sharing intelligence support. Trump said those demands weren't part of Tuesday's discussions.
I think the Kremlin media actually stated that he demanded an immediate cessation of aid to Ukraine in order to get to this multi-step deal.
No, he didn't. We didn't talk about aid. Actually, we didn't talk about aid at all.
President Trump will speak with Ukraine's President Zelensky today. Negotiations are expected to continue this weekend in Saudi Arabia. George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, unfortunately, I don't expect a deal anytime soon, and frankly, I couldn't trust the Russians to maintain a deal, to actually keep the terms. You look at the previous deals that Russia made. There was a deal that if Ukraine gave up its nuclear warheads, and they had a lot of them, if they gave them up, that there would somehow be a security pledge from the West to encourage them that we would come to their aid and their defense in the event of a war. There was pledges that Russia wouldn't invade, but then that pledge was broken, and you see the invasion of Crimea in 2014. And yet another deal, and this one, well, we'll keep Crimea and we'll have peace, and there'll be security pledges and all of that going on. And then Russia invaded again, and they're trying to get a land bridge to Crimea. They're trying to create buffer zones between Europe and Russia, but I think there's a much larger game, and you heard it from residents in Kyiv. This is Russian imperialism, and I think Putin very much wants a return to the Soviet Union and some kind of Russian control over the East Bloc and Russian dominance over Europe. So in light of that, to show any weakness that, there's any distance between us and Ukraine, I think is a strategic negotiation mistake. And that's going to play out on a very large stage right now. Yes, should we all be worried about World War III? Should we be worried that if Russia starts to lose this war, will they resort to nuclear weapons? Yes, we should be worried with that, but we should not reward their aggression. This is a time for the West to stand up and stand up for the principles of the right of self-determination for people, the principles of democracy, of liberty, individual liberty. Those are important and foundational to our very culture. The whole concept of Western civilization, the whole concept of the free world. and we need to maintain our adherence to our own ideals.